I want to stay on this theme, but expand it a little more about how our democracy has been, how what we thought was a democracy is actually an oligarchy, and what can we do about it? How do we take back our democracy? How do we make America a more small d democratic country? Whether you're a, however you describe yourself on the political spectrum, how do we have all of our voices heard, rather than just the voices of a very small number of very wealthy individuals and very powerful and large corporations? Because they're, frankly, the only ones whose voices are being heard. Case in point today and yesterday, the multi-billion-dollar-a-year weapons industry. But it's not just the weapons industry. Big pharma is constantly ripping us off, and well, it just goes on. And I've got a couple of examples that I wanted to share with you. The first, Ben Adler, writing over at grist.org. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce is the latest conservative group to start spreading anti-solar messages. Now, get this. Right now, there is a massive heat wave hitting the southwestern, central and southwestern United States. People are dying in Phoenix. Beverly Hills was like over 100 degrees or something like that. I mean, it's all this heat. And that heat, by the way, is accompanied by a lot of sun. And that sun is power coming from a nuclear fusion reaction. See, people say, well, what do you think we should do about powering the world? Well, I'm all in favor of nuclear fusion. We got this giant nuclear fusion reactor going 93 million miles away from us. We call it the sun. And it's pouring on the state of Arizona all by itself more energy in the matter of a couple of weeks than the entire planet uses in terms of electricity if we were simply to capture it efficiently. But the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, get this, the Chamber of Commerce, along with the Edison Electric Institute and the Utilities Trade Association, they're pushing rules and legislation that would make it more difficult or more expensive or less of a benefit for you to put solar on your house. And they're coming up with these BS excuses, like, the latest one they actually have an ad out that's running on TV right now. One of these groups. And this is verbatim from the ad. Well, actually, this is from an email. The group says, while your neighbor is receiving a credit in the form of a reduced electricity bill, this is your neighbor who has the solar panel, right? For putting excess energy back into the electric grid, these outdated net metering policies overlooks the cost to use, maintain, and update the grid. So who's actually paying the cost? You! Right, this is the solar power equivalent of look out for those black people. They want your jobs. Or those brown people. The historic line that has been, lie that has been used to tear us one from another over the last 500 years or longer. I mean, those people with the solar panels on their houses, they're getting subsidies. You're having to pay to maintain the grid. They don't need the grid. Well, gee, maybe you should put a solar panel on your house. I mean, even their logic is stupid. But, they've got enough money from running monopolies for profit without competition. They've got enough money that they can run enough ads and emails and campaigns and lie to us and bring in enough rubes. And they've got enough money that they can buy enough largely Republican politicians so that you see laws that are laws being put into place. When Louise and I were in Hawaii, 2 years ago, I think, we spent the same daughter and hopefully one of these days son-in-law that we spent a week with in Paris last week, we spent a week with in Hawaii. I think it was either last year or 2 years ago, and his parents, which was really sweet. But we found ourselves in the middle of this war. The house that we had rented, they were in the process, or that house or the one next door, I forget which, but one or the other. They were in the process of putting solar up, and the for-profit power companies on this particular island in Hawaii were trying to make it so that if you put solar on your house and you hooked up to the grid, you had to pay an extra fee every month. My recollection is it was $125. That might have been the one-time fee, but it was substantial. It was basically, we're going to make it so that there's no benefit to you in solarizing your house. Why? I mean, they're having to ship the damn coal and oil in from China and from West Virginia all the way to Hawaii when they've got free sunlight, free nuclear fusion power. But hey, we got to rip people off, right? What happened to democracy? Well, you can't have a democracy when your natural monopolies, the things that we all collectively should own together, are owned by a small group of very greedy individuals. I mean, it's the Dan Quinn argument how this whole bizarre situation began at the beginning of the agricultural revolution, when somebody figured out that they could lock up the food and that winter was coming. And if the food was locked up, other people would starve. And so the guy who had the key to the lock, he suddenly became the richest guy in town. And it's the same thing. If you can only get your electricity, you got one wire coming into your house, you get your electricity from one company. If it's a for-profit company, they got you. Only get your water from one company, they got you. Only one septic system in town, if it's a for-profit company, they've got you. And they're going to rob you blind. And we don't bother to even teach in our schools any longer the idea of civics and the difference between public spaces and private spaces. And that there are these things called natural monopolies. They should be public spaces. They should be owned collectively by all of us. And instead, we're getting the exact opposite right now. We're getting billionaires and folks like the Koch brothers and this whole kind of wise use movement and the Bundy bunch and whatnot saying, oh, well, the federal government shouldn't even own public lands out west. Yellowstone? What the hell? Yellowstone? A park? Are you kidding? Somebody could be making money off that. Disney should own Yellowstone. They should be able to make a buck off it. Oil in the ground? Hey, somebody should make a buck off it. It shouldn't be ours. And on it goes. So,
to watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.